Before we get started, here's what you'll need. Tomatoes, garlic, onion, basil, olive oil, oregano, salt, and pepper. Tomatoes are a very productive plant that can quickly swamp your house. Luckily, they go good with just about anything. Soups, salads, sandwiches are all scrumptiously satisfying, but sadly, stockpiling so many solanaceous vegetables sans sauce seldom sprouts sweet scents. This recipe requires a pretty sizable time commitment, so if you're doing this alone, it can take 5 to 6 hours, depending of course on how many tomatoes you're processing. I recommend making a whole event out of this. Invite some friends or family over, have someone bring refreshments, have someone else bring snacks, and together you can all make a time-consuming chore turn to a fun bonding experience. Something you'll notice throughout this recipe is that I purposefully left out how much of an ingredient I put in. This is one of those recipes where it truly does not matter how much of something you use. You love pepper? Drown the sauce with it. Want a second onion? Why not a third? Your biggest ally when cooking this sauce is your own taste buds. You can't have cooking without tasting. There are some sauce purists out there who will only use the finest Roma tomatoes for their sauce. Me? I throw them all in there. Tomato's a tomato, so long as it's ripe. Big ones, little ones, pink ones, ones that are on death's doorstep. This sauce is a great way to use up all of those tomatoes that you have lying around and making sure that they don't go to waste. No green tomatoes allowed for this recipe though. The first step, per usual, is to wash the tomatoes. I like to hold each one and wash it individually. That way I know for certain that only tomatoes I deem worthy make it into the sauce. Trust, but verify, folks. Also take this time to remove the green leafy bits that may or may not still be attached to your sauce candidates. Separate your tomatoes into sauce boss and better luck next time piles. Whisper words of encouragement to your unripe tomatoes and tell them that everything is going to be just okay. It is every tomato's biggest fear to go unused and unloved. Removing the skin is a simple procedure. Begin by making a small incision at the apex of the tomato. Try not to go too deep in. The goal is to just break the skin and make it easier to peel. Repeat this for the whole batch. Once the tomatoes have become blood brothers and sisters, you can begin running the water for their bath. Set up your assembly line so you can heat, cool, peel, discard, and store your tomatoes all at around the same time. Ideally, you'd want each of these stations to always have something being worked on to maximize efficiency. This is where having friends and or family over would come in handy. The first pot will have boiling water. It's a good idea to have this pot running at an almost aggressive boil. As you run your factory, the heat of the water will get lost at every cycle, and if your stove isn't set high enough to keep up, you won't have the proper conditions for optimal skin removal. Take that out of context. Place the tomatoes into the pot with or without your tomato dunking tool and leave them in for maybe 30 seconds until you notice the skin begin to peel off. I hesitate to give a firm, you need to leave them in for this specific length of time, because some tomatoes just need a little bit more and some a little less. Every tomato is different, especially when you're using different tomatoes. After the appropriate skin peeling is attained, remove them and dunk them into an ice bath to stop the cooking process. You will need to restock the ice bowl a couple of times as the cooking progresses. Confirm that they've cooled off and begin separating the skin from the tomato and place each into their respective receptacles. You can take a second to catch your breath and admire your work. You will note that the tomatoes are practically spilling over the sides of this pot. Do not fret, for once we complete the next step and then later begin cooking, the volume of sauce will be surprisingly less than how much we started out with. Take each of your tomatoes, roughly dice them, and discard the part that was attached to the plant, as well as any gross, firm, unappealing bits that you may find. Also take this time to separate out the unripe portions of any tomatoes that lied to you on their resumes to get this job. If you're doing this alone, you can use the pot you had the boiling water in for extra storage as you slice and dice. You need to wash that pot anyways, so it's okay. Lubricate your pot with an amount of olive oil and set your pot onto the stove on a medium-high heat. Once it gets going, you can lower it to a low boil. Once the sauce goes from looking like a bruschetta to looking like a bad soup, you can prepare your onion and garlic elements. The finer you dice the onion, the better, and the same goes with mincing the garlic. Unless you use a garlic press, then you have nothing to worry about. Lubricate a pan with some more olive oil, cook the garlic until fragrant, and add the onion. Cook these until the onion is translucent and place it into the pot. Remember to stir your sauce often so it doesn't burn at the bottom. Acquire, wash, and mince some basil, in that order, and let it rain into the pot. If you do not let the basil rain into the pot and instead you just place, or worse, throw it in, you will not get the desired taste from it. Vigorously sprinkle in some oregano. Slightly less vigorously sprinkle in some pepper. Always vigilantly stirring the pot. And not vigorously at all, sprinkle in some salt. As your soup slowly turns into a sauce, as shown here, you may begin the canning process. I like to can my sauce just before it's ready to eat, and with slightly less salt than I would normally eat with. This opens the door for it to be used in a wide range of different dishes, like chicken parmesan, different curries, steamed mussels, as well as many others, instead of railroading it into exclusively becoming a spaghetti or pasta sauce. As always, make sure you only use clean jars to prevent contamination of your sauce. The last thing you want is to spend 6 hours standing at pots just to open the jar 6 months later and find it smelling like death. Fill the jars up to the brim, wipe them down and seal them shut with the aid of a rag. Finally, place them upside down and leave them in this position until they cool. This is to make sure they seal properly and will stay good for months. All in all, I'm quite pleased with this batch of sauce and can't wait to use it up. I'm not exactly sure if I'll be boring and use it for spaghetti, or if I'll go the extra mile and use it for something else. More than likely, I'll leave these alone until the winter when I can't grow anything outside to remind me of the rays of summer. I will have to use up the half jar within a week or two because I'm not overly confident that it'll hold nearly as long as the others. If you like what you saw, why not subscribe and hit the notification icon to stay up to date, and when I post, if you change your mind, you can always unsubscribe later. But until next time, bye.